prosperity blueprint. The prosperity blueprint. The prosperity blueprint. The prosperity blueprint. The prosperity.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Prosperity Blueprint here on the James H. Glover Network. Glad to be here with y'all tonight. For those of you, this is probably the first time you're viewing it live on my streaming pages, but I do want to get you guys real quick before we get started tonight to follow James H. Glover Studios. We want to give a big shout out to the executive producer and our very own CEO, Mr. James H. Glover III, straight up out of the great state of Kentucky. We're glad to be here tonight, and we are getting ready to get started on tonight's installation of the Prosperity Blueprint. So I want to welcome you again to the Prosperity Blueprint, where we are mastering life and mastering money. I'm Dr. Rasheda Jackson, and this show was created for those of you who are tired of the gatekeepers, who are ready to stop guessing when it comes to finances, when it comes to building generational wealth in your legacy, and start building with intention. Because prosperity isn't just about money. It's about how we live. It's about how you lead, and it's about what you leave behind. So I'm glad to be here with you all tonight to get started. Tonight, we're going to talk about stewardship. Some of you have spent 8 weeks with me. Some of you have spent 10 weeks with me, and we have gone over the biblical principles of your finances, how your Bible is actually a blueprint to prosperity. It literally is a blueprint to how you can prosper in your everyday life. And so with that, here we're going to talk about God's way to prosperity. Have you ever, and this is just a question for everyone, those of you that are in the chat, answer. You can put your chat answers in the comments, and James is here, and we will make sure to answer them. But have you ever met someone who made a lot of money but still wasn't prosperous? Prosperity and success are relative, and you can have a little bit of money and still be prosperous, but you cannot equate your prosperity, or you cannot compare your prosperity to someone else's, because it's relative. Just like success is. Success, some people are more successful than people with bank accounts that are unlimited, simply because it's relative to what you equate success to be. So I'll ask you again, have you ever met someone who made a lot of money but still wasn't prosperous? Prosperity is not about the amount of money in your account. That's where wealth comes into play. Tonight, we're going to talk about prosperity itself. Prosperity is having everything you need to fulfill God's purpose in your life. If you were born with everything that you needed, someone just had to remind you, tell you, wake it up, or help you to acknowledge that it exists. And that's really what prosperity is. It's having everything that you need to fulfill God's purpose in your life. If you can look around and say that, one, you know your purpose, you know what God called you to do, you're aligned with what He has called you to do, what He's assigned for you to do, you should be able to look around and see what's missing. And that's where the lack of prosperity comes into play. Most people, probably 99% of people, equate prosperity to money alone. But it's definitely more than that. You know that we were born with a purpose. We were born to fulfill a purpose. We were born to be here to fulfill God's plan. Literally, that is the nature of why we were put in the earth. Prosperity is having everything you need to fulfill God's purpose for your life. In the book of Joshua 1:8, it says, "This book of the law shall not depart from your mouth, but you shall meditate on it day and night. Then you will make your way prosperous, and then you will have good success." It is simply telling you reminding you just what I said in the beginning when we got started. The Bible is literally your blueprint to success. Many have taken the Bible and used it for indoctrination. They've used it to control people. They've used it to take scriptures and utilize them and elevate them to basically put people in a box, when reality is that it is a blueprint for life. It is a blueprint to success, and it is a blueprint to prosperity. Joshua 1 and 8. When we look at Joshua, you've got to understand that that is Old Testament. And in that, that's letting you know that this was God's plan from the beginning. Although we live in a new time, right? In a New Testament time, in a new dispensation time, we were created for the purpose of success and prosperity. And so the blueprint was given to us that we are to meditate on day and night. As simple as that. Joshua 1 and 8. Notice that God connects prosperity to meditation. One of the things that we are challenged with in this season and in this time, and I'm trying to put my hands down, y'all, because I get excited. One of the things that we as people living in this time, in this 2026 time, one of the things that we are challenged with is distractions. We are challenged with the ability to stop, to breathe, to close our eyes, and to meditate, to find a quiet space, one, to hear from God, and two, to communicate with Him, to have a dialogue with Him. We have to remove distractions, meditation. And I am the first, let me tell you guys, I am the first partaker of this. Meditation becomes difficult when there's so much noise and so many things around that can prevent us from just those moments of focus. But it is a part of the blueprint to prosperity. It's a part of the blueprint to success, is to meditate on the word, meditate on the Bible, meditate on the instructions. That is what God connects prosperity to. The next thing God connects prosperity to is obedience. The scriptures tell us that it is better to obey than to sacrifice. Obedience is not a word that should be used to, again, box people in, create indoctrination or rules that you've got to follow. That's not what obedience is. Obedience is following what God has prescribed in your instruction manual. One of the real challenges with obedience is the fact that people don't know what the instructions actually say, or they don't know what they mean. And so we utilize them in a very challenging way. And some of the things that I have learned through the years has caused me to challenge the ways that I thought in previous times. And let me tell you guys, it is okay to grow. It is okay to evolve. It is okay to learn, to study, to get an understanding. So the Bible tells us that we ought to, in all things, right, get an understanding. Get an understanding. So we are not only supposed to read the word to use it against people or to use it to bring people into a certain element. We are to use it to evolve and to learn. And as we evolve and we learn, we obey. And being obedient, part of that is learning how to steward over what God is the owner of. We don't own anything in reality. In reality, we are called to be stewards of what we have been entrusted with. The next thing God connects prosperity to is action. There is a real, and all three of these things, meditation, obedience, and action, are then in tune, connected to each other, because without without us taking action on what we've learned and what we know, we are just wasting time, sitting still, making excuses, flipping through the TV, laying on our backs, not creating, not building, not entrusting the word to lead us. We are just not fulfilling purpose. Prosperity simply begins with principles, and these principles God connected to prosperity: meditation, obedience, and action. Simply put, quiet space, a place to be in tune with your creative abilities, right? meditation, obedience, following instructions. Simple as that. And then to take action. The Bible says that faith without works is dead. It's not okay for us to just talk about what we want to do or what we expect or what we're asking God to do when we have the ability to do without actually taking action. We have a responsibility to take action. It's not luck. It's not inheritance. It's not winning the lottery. It is literally following instructions. Joshua 1:8 is your blueprint, your real blueprint, like the foundational step to prosperity is understanding what the word is saying and what it means for you and for me, how we can take it and live a prosperous and successful life. Remember that it's relative. Whatever it is that you equate prosperity to, whatever it is that you equate success to, is relative to you. It's relative to you. And you're right now, you might not be in your prosperous place and you might not be at the epitome of success, but you've had an experience some prosperity and you've experienced some success along the way. But keep living, keep dreaming, and keep believing. And that's what we have to do, because the first foundational thing that we must acquire within ourselves and understand is that belief is one of the most important things that we have that we can lean into. The next thing I want to touch on, I said it just a second ago, is that God owns everything. We are literally just managers of it. God owns everything. And when we completely understand that principle, those of you that have attended my Bible study will understand I do a whole lesson on stewardship. Finding out that we don't own anything is in itself questionable, right? Because we simply believe that we worked for it or we worked for the money to pay for it and now it belongs to us. But when we really sit back and say, I'm just a manager of what I have, it puts us in a position of gratitude to understand that we have the abilities, the creative abilities, the abilities to obtain wealth were given by God. Everything that we have, he owns. And because he has given it to you or entrusted it to you, that is enough to be grateful for. Simply when you look around, touch, feel all the things that you have that you have access to, that he allows you to manage. He gave it to you because you could handle it and you are the steward of it. Psalms 24:1 declares that the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof, and they that dwell there within. Not only does God own everything, we are his one of his prized possessions, one of the things that he saw and said it was good, right? And so because of that, we have to take the word my out of everything. Do you know that when you give things over to God and you understand that you're just the manager of it and you don't own it, you then also give him the responsibility to bring you into the prosperity and the success that he declared in his word. As long as it's yours, it's on you. Does that make sense? As long as it's yours, it's on you. But if it's his, then it's on him. And we have to get to the point that we accept the fact that it's his and it's not my money, my business, my house. We are managers. God is the owner. And that puts us in a position of gratitude. It also puts us in a position in the direct position of God and then us, right? When we realize that we're the steward, our financial decisions change, because now it's not my, and I don't get to freely do with it as I please without talking to the owner. How many of you go to a job and do whatever you want and you never discuss what has to be done with the owner or with your manager? Some of us have we're in positions that we have direct contact with the owners, where others are, maybe you have a manager or a supervisor, but you don't just go and do whatever you want to do because it's not your business. You have to, again, go back, follow instructions, right? And take action. You have to execute the plan of someone else. In our lives, we're simply executing the plan of God. We are executing God's plan over our lives. Once we understand that, we take the my out of it. It's no longer my, it's his. And so therefore, that opens up the door for understanding that we communicate with him about everything. We have a responsibility to pray with a clear understanding that the answers are already written, that what we need to know, what needs to be revealed to us is already written. We just have to do the work to take the first steps into a prosperous living and a successful life. We're just the managers, and we have to realize it. When we are given something by God, when we are given the responsibility to manage something by him, how do we honor him with it? And I'm interested in your answers. The questions that we need to ask ourselves is, how do I honor God with this? How do I honor God with my home? How do I honor God with my car? How do I honor God with my job? How do I honor God with my bank account? How do I honor God with my finances? How do I honor him? Because he owns it. Simple as that. Ownership is equated to responsibility. So do you want the responsibility, or do you want God to have responsibility? The way that we think is we generally want to give him responsibility over things that we've already made decisions about. And that's just not how it works. We have to get into the position and the mindset of stewardship and understanding what it means to manage the things that God has entrusted us with. How do we manage wisely? How do I manage wisely what he's entrusted to me? What assignment is attached to this resource? I often tell people when we are doing business consulting or we're talking about taxes that you have to tell your money what to do, not allow it to tell you what to do. One of the things with telling your money what to do is understanding what the assignment is for that resource. I have a aunt who I believe is one of the most profound thinkers on earth, and to anybody, she would never raise herself up to be anybody, if that makes sense. And she's not somebody that people that are not close to us or close to me would know her name. But she's such a deep thinker. She's such a deep thinker. The things that she does honors God simply because these are the questions that she asks. What assignment is attached to this resource? Every resource that she has, there is some assignment that has been attached to it, and she's just taking action on it. Simple as a lawnmower. As simple as a lawn mower. Most people will go and buy a lawnmower for their lawn, right? For their lawn. I'm going to buy a lawnmower because I need to cut my yard. And people like her specifically, will buy a lawnmower because she not only needs to cut her yard, but she needs to cut the yards of the neighbors and the people that are elderly, that are close to her, free of charge. There was an assignment that was placed on that resource. Every resource that God gives you has an assignment to it. What we're looking at today, and the point I really want to drive tonight, is that prosperity starts when ownership is surrendered. Ownership has to be surrendered to God so that stewardship can begin. And I know I'm talking to myself tonight, but this is important, foundational for our blueprint to prosperity. And I'm going to say it again. Prosperity starts when ownership is surrendered to God, and then stewardship actually begins. We don't own anything. We're just the managers of it. Money is a tool, not a master. Money is a tool, not a master. The first thing I want to give you guys, the first thing I've already given you guys is principle number 1, and that is that God owns everything. Principle number 2 is that money is a tool, not a master. The tool has to be used, right? With an assignment, it has to be told where to go and what to do. Money is a tool, not a master. Matthew 6:24 says you cannot serve God and mammon. Who can do that? No one can serve the two, right? You cannot serve God and you cannot serve God and money. Money is a tool, it cannot be the master. So cash can't rule everything around you. God has to rule everything around you. God has to rule everything around you. Or Christ has to rule everything around you, so you can keep the acronym, right? Money is a tool, it's a resource, and it's a servant. Money is a tool, it's a resource, and it's a servant. It was never meant to be your identity. It was never meant to be security, and it was never meant to be a God. It was never set up to be an idol. It is something that we have to completely get into our minds and understand that money is just a tool. It's not the master. It's needed. Don't get me wrong. It makes the world go round. Things are kept in context because of money, but money cannot be the master. Many people are chasing the money, they chasing the bag. But what we have to understand here in Prosperity Blueprint, in the kingdom networks that we are operating in, is that kingdom people are to chase purpose. We are to look and to live in a position that we are seeking to chase our purpose, because that's the real thing that we have to fulfill in this lifetime, and that's purpose. We're here for a purpose. God ordained it, he set it up, he planned it, he said it would be. Money follows value. Money follows value. Let's look at that. A hammer is useful, just like a lawnmower is useful, right? A hammer is useful, but if we worship the hammer instead of building the house, we've missed the purpose. A hammer is just a tool and it's useful, but it cannot build the house. You need the hammer to build the house, but if you worship the hammer instead of using it as the tool that it is, you will miss the purpose. So let's bring it all the way home. We cannot worship money, because if we worship money instead of utilizing it as a resource, as the tool that it is, we will miss our purpose. We will miss it. The third principle I want to give you is that prosperity requires wisdom. We have to operate in wisdom. And some of you all, listen, I get it. I'm with you. I see gold and shiny things and bells and whistles and belts and bags. And I'm thinking, ooh, I like it. I like it. I like it. And then I look around, I'm like, where did all these things come from and why do I have them? Proverbs 24, verse 3-4 is a good point for you to look at that, because it talks about wisdom building a house. Through wisdom, the house is built. And when we talk about a prosperity blueprint, what are we talking about? A blueprint is something that is utilized to build a house. So we're going to be building on foundational principles here in this podcast so that we can build it with a sure foundation. The foundation that we're understanding or coming into the knowledge of tonight is stewardship. Why we don't own anything and why we must surrender the ownership over to God so that he can take the responsibility for it. So when we bring it before him, he is the pilot. He's the pilot and we're the co-pilot or the manager of what he's given us. God's blessing does not eliminate the need for wisdom. Make sure that you go back and read Proverbs 24, verse 3-4. Prosperity requires discipline. It requires budgeting. It requires planning. It requires investing. It requires learning. It requires accountability. It requires instruction. So as money being a tool, you have to be able to give it assignments. It has to have assignments. Every resource has to have an assignment. Budgeting takes care of the needs for right now, the needs for living today. Planning takes care of the needs for the future. Investing takes care of the legacy you want to leave for your children's children. Learning is an investment in the mind. Your mind is an investment. If we fail to learn, we fail to live. That's prosperity. And then accountability. Accountability for me comes when I start talking to myself. You don't need that. You don't have a need for that. You don't need to eat out. Go home. Simple as that. Go home, put it in the air fryer, put it in the oven, cook it, do this, buy meal preps, minimize the waste, being accountable. Many of us pray for increase, but we ignore good instruction. And that is not, and that's not operating in wisdom. God can send money faster than it, or it seems like God can send us money so fast, and then wisdom comes somewhere, lagging behind, right? But the reality is that wisdom is needed to keep it, the money, to keep it, to enrich it, to build it, to multiply it. And that's what building and having a blueprint is about, is being able to multiply what God has given you to manage. I won't even get into the parable of the talents. You guys are gonna have to study your word to keep up, or go over and watch the Bible and your finances. Prosperity must have purpose, and this is number 4. Prosperity must have purpose. Deuteronomy 8:18 is the proof that the Bible is a blueprint, because it literally says it is He, God Himself, that gives you power to get wealth, to obtain wealth. Why would He do that? Not merely to buy things, not merely to become the biggest consumers on the face of the earth, not merely to put money into holes that have no bottom, not to impress people, but God will give you the power to obtain wealth. And we would say it in the church, to get the glory out of it, right? But it really is to establish His covenant in your life, to establish His covenant, to establish the promise that He has made with you. What problem are you called to solve? We're looking for purpose, right? What legacy are you called to leave? Where will your name be when you're no longer here? And who benefits when you actually prosper? Is it intentional? Is it on purpose? We make a lot of errors when it comes to wisdom, when it comes to managing. But the good thing about it is God Himself that gives us the power to obtain wealth. So anything that you have mismanaged, you have an opportunity, as long as you're still breathing, to correct, to course correct, to get it back in line, to get back into stewardship and managing, to take the my out of it and remember the why it is that He gave you the power to obtain wealth. Wealth is a part of the prosperity equation, but it's not prosperity. It's a part of it, but it's not, that's not it. All of the things that we talked about tonight equate to full prosperity and success. Once you surrender it over to God, it's His. I'm just managing it. I'm taking care of it. And it's up to Him to decide whether you're being a good steward or a not so good steward, right? I'll ask you this in closing. I'm getting ready to land a plane. It's time to get off of here. If God doubled your income tomorrow, would your habits be ready for the increase? If God doubled your income, if He doubled your business, would your habits be ready for the increase? Because prosperity is not about what comes into our hands. It's about what flows through our hands, how it continually moves. Because money, prosperity, wealth, money, currency, time, it's all currency, and it has to flow. So it's not just about what comes into your hands for you to manage, but it's about what you grow and what flows through. Prosperity is not a destination. In the end result, it is the result of faith, stewardship, wisdom, and purpose. Prosperity is not money. It's the result of these things: faith, stewardship, wisdom, and purpose. When these four things align, prosperity becomes a natural byproduct of obedience. 3 John 1 and 2 says, Beloved, I wish above all things that you would prosper and be in health, even as your soul prospers. Your prosperity will never consistently exceed the condition of your soul. So remember that in all those things, all the temporal things that we've talked about tonight, the budgeting, the planning, investing, the wisdom that is needed, check on your soul. That's the blueprint, the piece of the blueprint for tonight. And that's where prosperity begins. It begins with a soul check. Don't forget to meditate. Don't forget to be obedient. And don't forget to take action. God bless you. This has been the Prosperity Blueprint. We want to invite you to join us in the Uncommon Network School. You can find the links below. You can find the links in the chat. We are going to continue building there in the network, and you will find there the actual Bible study that I've mentioned a couple of times tonight. We're going to keep building. And so I'll see you guys on next week, same time, same channel. God bless you, and may your soul prosper before your pocketbook does. Have a good night. I love you guys. If you would like to be a guest on the Prosperity Blueprint or Dating While Anointed, click the link. You will go to the link and make an appointment. That is your pre-screening for the podcast. Set an appointment time with me. Come and talk to me behind the scenes so that you can have the interview that is going to speak to who you are as an individual. Join me on the Prosperity Blueprint or Dating While Anointed. We'll see you around on the James H. Glover Studios.
Hello, hello, hello. Thank you for watching another episode on James H. Glover Network. We appreciate you for all of your love, all of your support, and all of your just comments. Now what I need y'all to do is, like this says right here, like and subscribe. Also, I need y'all to share, and I need y'all to tag, and I need y'all to turn on that notification bell over here on YouTube. That lets YouTube know that you like content like this. On behalf of everyone here at the network, we appreciate you because we couldn't release content the way that we do without your support. So as I always say, sometimes our disappointments are nothing more than God's appointments, meaning some things that we look at as bad, God is only turning it around for our good. Stay blessed, be blessed, and be a blessing to someone else. And I'll see y'all on the next episode. Peace.